Good morning. Good
Morning.
morning, and welcome everyone to Your Word is Your Wand. And this podcast was created to bring massive awareness to the fact that every word that we speak actually creates our lives and how powerful, in fact, we are as a human race. And so, my name is Carrie Mushaw, and I am your anxiety coach, also known as Conscious Carrie, which I'm going to upgrade my little tag underneath of here so we have all of it. And this is my beautiful business partner, Andrea. Will you introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Andrea Alexander, also your anxiety expert and coach, and also known as Abundant Andrea.
Awesome. And we have our special guest today is Randy Whitefeather. And so Randy is joining us this morning. Randy, will you say hello?
Good morning. How is everyone?
I'm well, thank you.
We are doing well. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for
And
having me.
you are so welcome. Let's go ahead and as we begin this morning, one of the things that we always enjoy doing is we enjoy setting the room. And we do this the same way Andrea and I do one-on-one calls. And then we have call series that we do monthly. And we do them on Zoom with people all over. And we're always aware of how we're all coming into space. And as we come in, we begin the exact same way every time. We enjoy setting our space through breath and decrees. So this morning, if you're listening now, or if you choose to listen to this on replay, I'm going to invite everyone to join us and set your own space at the exact same time, because as a collective, let's breathe. So everyone, as we begin, let's take a moment to take a breath. And if you're driving, you can still sit up nice and tall. It's always available to us. And go ahead and take a big inhalation. Everyone inhale really big. Light up your nostrils. And exhale long and slow through your mouth. And let's do that again and really inhale. This is our act of receiving. So inhale really big. And long and slow through your mouth. And one more time. Big breath. Inhale. Feel your chest expand at the top. Love expansion. Exhale long and slow through your mouth. As we're remembering that with every breath, our inhalation is our remembering of receiving. It's our massive act that we can receive. Our body gives us all kinds of signals, and everything that happens in our body is a message exactly for us. And so we can remember that our inhalation was a divine design to receive. And we simply ignite that by really bringing in our breath and using our nostrils, just like we would sniff a flower, or maybe at this time of year, something really fresh in the kitchen cooking. And our exhalation, we're remembering that it is our space to let go. And we do have the power to let go of anything that is no longer supporting our journey in life. And this, our simple exhalation, allowing ourselves to exhale long and slow, is really allowing ourselves to let anything go and all the way out. And it begins with breath. And then the next thing that we do is we always begin with a decree. And Andrea is so masterful at creating our decrees that set the energy of our space. And so this morning, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to my beautiful business partner so that she can go ahead and walk us through together some decrees that we can repeat and feel alive in our own body. Andrea?
Thank you, Carrie. And I choose to speak into everything. Everything in consciousness is translatable. And when we are experiencing something is challenging coming in, especially with our technology, that there's something big for our feeling world on deck. And so this morning, I choose to begin with, I am connected in all of life.
I am connected in all of life.
I am secure to be seen and heard.
I am secure to be seen and heard.
I remember my connections are my love.
I remember my connections are my love.
Me, love, me.
Me,
Love
love,
me.
me.
And then breathe.
Thank you. A decree, when we speak our words, it creates a vibration, and you can feel the vibration instantly in your body of where you're desiring to be and how it really brings it home inside of us. And sometimes I laugh because we may say a decree like 50 times before it comes all the way home. And that's just because it's a new way of being that we may have said no to, or and we don't do it consciously. We just, oh, you want me to be seen and heard.
Mhm.
And yet that's what we're here to do. And all of us is to be present in life and be seen and be heard.
And
we can do that.
it was funny to me as I was experiencing challenge coming in, and I did decree, I choose to connect, I choose to be seen and heard, and I was willing to do it in a different way through my phone. And once I said that and my phone began, my computer was in partnership with me.
Yes, because you were willing. What the key to that phrase was, she said, I was willing to do it a
Willingness.
different way. Because we're always willing to do, we're always like, I gotta do this one way, but one way. And then we just keep pouncing, and it doesn't work. That was my very first movement, was pushing through. We believe that's the way we gotta do it. And
And the
yet,
universe has other ideas,
Yes.
and they want you to take another road and another path, even though it's maybe the paths are right next to each other, but it's not the path you were on, and it's but you need to be on that one. You still get there.
yes, there's so many, there's always, what Andrea always says, there's always a way.
There's
always
always a solution.
There's always a solution. There's always a way.
Right.
And it may not be the one that you're so used to. This is where we find ourselves, where people get stuck in one spot. And it's because the second that we open another door.
The other one has someplace really better that you can be, or have a greater effect on people.
Yes.
And you just don't know it because you're not looking at it.
And this is what Randy and I were talking about in the backstage. We were talking about faith. We were totally talking about faith. Because it requires faith to take a new path.
And it requires that we relax enough to realize there is another solution. There's another way through. And we will get so frustrated often when it's not working. And it's yes, there's always another way through. And so I met Randy at the Woodlands Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and I walked in the door and Randy was there, and Vicki LeBeau said to me, "You require connecting with this man."
He told me that in the parking lot about you.
Oh, that's hilarious. And so we did connect, and it took us, we required moving things around many times actually. And when we were finally able to create that connection, now I understand why it so big for my feeling world. So Randy is connected into so many different things in the shamanic world. And I'm just super excited to bring him to you and for him to share his stories and his experience with love and life. And so, Randy, if you'll share a little bit about who you are and how you got to where you are.
Well, let's see. I started out as a child. No, I didn't.
I was born.
Yeah, how long do you have? How long is this podcast? I've only got 67 years to go through. I did start early. I feel like as a 5-year-old, I had a near-death experience, which then connected me with the other side, but not knowing what that really meant for a long time. Going into my teenage years, living in the Beaumont, East Texas, Beaumont, Port Arthur area, very confusing for me, and had so much stress and trauma and so forth. And that's about the time that I learned of intuitiveness in our family. And then fast forwarding many years forward, actually until the last probably 3 years, when forced with another trauma, so to speak, of having grandkids move into the house with us. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm in my mid 60s, and how am I going to handle little 3 and 4-year-olds? And so it goes to meditation and learning meditation, and from there things just started flooding in. The time was right. The universe says you're ready, obviously, and let's start helping you to remember all of the things that you've done so many times before. And so it just started coming in, and then meeting the right people, bringing in the right tribe for help and support and teaching, starting out with Reiki, then into channeling instructions and workshops, and then led me down the shamanic path and training with shaman, and really getting immersed in all of that. And then all of my past history just flooding in, and information coming in from ancestral and past life and so forth. And gosh, it's just been a whirlwind. I still have my Muggle world. When you said, with the wand, I'm thinking Harry Potter, and so I still have my Muggle world, my 3D world that we need to all function in, and stuff. But the passion is with the spiritual side and the shamanic side, and how all of the things that I've learned in the past several years have just come together to focus in towards helping others, in how we can be of service to other people, and relieving frustrations and energies and traumas and so forth, and which I believe that's exactly what y'all do.
So yes, and one of the things, so it was when Andrea and I began. So her coach was Robert Tennyson Stevens, and in his book, he says, it was funny that because I owned a yoga studio for 9 years. So what actually got my attention at the very beginning was he said that he researched the Hopi Indian tribe. And what he discovered was that they had no stress. And he said, what is going on here? And then he discovered they don't use the word can't, don't, later, even later, because they only stay in now. They don't use want or need, have to. So he started, because it was his thesis in college. And they said, he came to his professor and said, I'm going to do it over the Hopi Indian tribe. And his professor said, well, great. You already know that. Let's do something you're yet to know. How about their language? And that's when he had this massive revelation. And he wrote the book, Conscious Language, which was where our training was derived from. And it was just so interesting that that's where it started. And then he was able to parallel it with spiritual text and finding the same matching energy. And that's what Andrea and I use, is our words in creating our life. And how we're using these words that we just believe. I mean, I'm aware that we have the posters that say can, not can't. And it's much bigger than that. I mean, that's there. We're believing that's around the one instance in life. We're talking about that the vocabulary didn't exist to the Hopi Indian tribe. And so we're speaking of removing it from our language altogether and replacing it with words that create action, passion, and living in right now. So when you speak
because of habit, I'm sorry. Sometimes because of habit, we don't even realize we're saying it. In my little description, there was probably a good number of words that you were going, "Hey, he just said,"
No judgment.
And I appreciate that. I know we're in a judgment-free zone here, but that is something that people. I think it's a lifestyle. It's certainly a practice that has to be very conscious and purposeful to get in the habit and get right.
And
because what the Hopis, what the Indian tribe was doing was what they were taught, and what we're doing is all we're doing is what we were taught.
Right.
And scripture said, Robert Tennyson Stevens used decrees based in scripture often for religious reasons. No, because scripture actually mimics effects of quantum physics on a higher level. And in scripture, there was the Tower of Babylon, and he says, God says, take from them their words, for they know not what they can do. And Carrie was speaking into, we can feel the vibration when we speak, and words and thoughts carry energy. And it's the energy of what we say that is creating our reality. And there's a lot of science today that proves the truth of this. And because what we believe is what we perceive, belief is how we live our life. It's our perspective. And if we've believed that we can't because someone told us between the ages of 0 and 7, because their mothers and their fathers and their grandparents told them the same thing. So it's been in this perpetual belief of what our words have been doing to keep us stuck in the patterns and beliefs that we were taught as children. And my favorite thing to say is this true, or did I make that up? And I ask myself those questions all the time when I'm literally running through my head. And we have the ability moment to moment to make a different choice about how we choose to speak into things and question the truth or the belief of it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Carrie.
And one of the things that we ask all of our guests now is that, have you had an experience, Randy, where you shifted your language and it changed your experience that you were having in life?
Yes.
And will you share?
Absolutely. I probably thinking back and going back to teenager years, and at that point, had the experiences that I had then. I would call myself very shy and very much an introvert, and I think that in itself has a negative connotation to it. I would refer to myself as not so smart, maybe dumb even. I can't sing. I don't belong. All of those were all the things that descriptions I would use of myself and talk about myself. And then moving in, say, 2006, even whenever I moved to the area, I'm going through a major shift, and I realize at this point, when I'm talking to someone, it is a bit more positive. I found I was surrounding myself with more positive people, but I still had some issues. I think one of the things somebody called me out on one time is that when they actually paid me a compliment, and I forget what the compliment was, but I I've replied back with, oh, I'm just trying to keep up with you, or, and he said, no, don't do that. You're dismissing my compliment and stuff. And I've always remembered that. I still had to catch myself on that, but that was I think a start to changing my language in many times. But then but I started taking on positive and looking at positive quotes and trying to change my attitude and my language there. Still a long ways to go and a lot of work. More recently, when my spiritual journey started coming back and started remembering that, then again, it changed to a different level. I was up on a different plateau, and I could see a bigger effect on the way I was speaking, the way I was thinking of myself, and referring to other people. And occasionally I would have the slip up. Thank you, Andrea, for catching me on one when we first met. That was really important, and I can't tell you how much I appreciated that. For someone to step up and say, "Oh, you really should change the wording on that comment." And so, because we do have slip ups, and we need to be caught, and we need to be called out, so to speak. And you did it in such a beautiful way. So I feel like yes, I have had those moments where I felt like now my life has changed. I can see better things, and I'm up on a higher plateau and able to see that. Now I see the next plateau, and each plateau, I think there's improvement, and and language is a huge part of it, because when you, like you say, when you speak it, then you can see it. And then it exists.
It becomes real.
When someone gives you a compliment now, what do you say?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you is an act of receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So it's literally allowing what someone has shared with us to come in. And I've been playing with the word. We're creating this class called Recoding Money. We're doing it again in January, and appreciation came up for me in a discussion, and it's how we increase our value. And so when we appreciate, we're raising our own value by allowing things to come into us. It's so awesome.
And it's funny, and I did find that when somebody would pay the compliment and I would just receive it and thank you very much, within, I found myself feeling so much better, and I know it made them feel better, whether they knew it or not. They felt better, I felt better. So just the vibrations and the frequency within the room and that area is raised and increased. And
yes, and in receiving, that was funny to me, because I heard pay the compliment. We're talking about appreciation. It's still about the energy of money and value, and this belief that we've had the belief in the past that we'd yet to fully deserve, and so we've yet to receive things with ease. And I'm digging all of that connotation, because the energy of money is how we be with money is about how we be with love, our same experiences, and there is deserving, and we're remembering our value in both cases, both scenarios.
I think with the words and stuff, the worthiness that follows right there close by. When you start to change the words, you realize you are worthy, you are deserving, you are capable, you are trusting. And one of the phrases that became so important to me, just two little words, I am. And it was just, I am loving, I am worthy, I am caring, I am spiritual, I am part of the universe and our creator. All of those things. I am always learning, but it's I am became so important.
Yes, and the words I am, because in the scripture and what we decree is, I am that which I say I am.
Mm.
And when we, I is is universe, power, light, love, God, your choice of higher power words, and am is self and action. And anything that follows is what is the truth of what we believe is the truth of who we are.
Mhm.
And so we have the choice to say, because you hear a lot of people say, I'm mad, I'm frustrated, I'm this, I'm that, and in a connotation that carries negative energy. And it's yet to be who we are, and the experience of how we are feeling. And so I feel is what we practice is we keep ourselves in the equation, and we acknowledge how we feel, and then we decree who we are. We are
Right.
loved, we are loving, we are, I am, all of the things that we choose to be, because we've always been innocent, pure, glorious, full of love and light. We've just had these experiences, these traumas, the separation of self, body, and that we believed took us out and took us down and changed the truth of who we are. And so I love that you use the word remembering, because this is a remembering of the truth of who we are and who we have always been.
Yes.
And
One of the things that I heard Randy say that I think was really powerful was he was talking about shifting his language, and he had the experience in school, and then he's talking about later in life, then shifting again. And what we're remembering is we constantly upgrade our words. That's what Randy and I were talking about: upgrading your computer, upgrading your phone, upgrading your words. What? It's like what? And yet we do everything else instantaneously. And so it's just new for people to realize, and it will require something new, because what words you required when you're 15, you will require something different when you're older. So every time as we move through, we find that we do require upgrading our words and finding a word that now sets a new vibration, because in a word change, your brain changes. So your subconscious changes, the pattern changes. And then, like all patterns, it gets really used to that. And so now it's going to require something more powerful. And so the acknowledgement of continually allowing yourself to change and allowing your words to shift and upgrade create something new and different. I think that's so powerful, because that's why there's oftentimes, I remember forgiveness in my house meant you were saying whatever had happened was okay. It was okay that they did it. And is that true? No. But so did I desire to forgive? No, because I was like, well, that wasn't okay. And that was, that behavior didn't work for me, and yet forgiveness is actually giving back to yourself all of that energy that you've been holding on to really tight. That's why I love the word forgive, because it's forgiving and giving and giving and giving. And it's a giving back to yourself. But for me, because it was so new to my family, because my whole family had this belief, I required beginning with the decree, I give myself permission to forgive, instead of just I forgive. Because that would have been going over the top of my feeling world. I wasn't ready for that. I'd be like, what? It's like eating a large pie instead of eating a slice. I was like, one at a time. And so I started with giving myself permission. And then I was able to instantly step into, I can't forgive. I immediately forgive. I forgive and I let go. And then as time went on, that's when I was able to graduate into a new decree that supported me more. So it was a different changing of language because of where I was in my life.
I think it's kind of a stair-step thing, because when you first start releasing the tension and the anger and the frustration from whatever wrong was done to you, or perceived wrong, whether it was real or perceived, that's hard, and so you're holding it close to your chest, and then once you finally, in your case, I give permission. Well, okay, and then you release a little bit, and you realize, oh, that felt so good. Then the next time you don't have to fight so hard. Okay, I'll forgive, and you release a little bit more. Oh man, that was wonderful. And I think over time, in those baby steps, then it gets easier to, excuse me, to release and to forgive, and based on what has occurred. And but then you learn that to where it does help. It does feel good. It is spiritual hygiene in a way, just to
I like it.
to get rid of it and release it, and so it does get easier as you go over time with practice and with consistency.
Yes, and you put the word practice on deck, which is amazing. This is healing the past is yet to be a one and done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a practice, and we walk ourselves in, as you said, and we let go a little bit. And then now we have some new tools. We have more security. We have more self-love. We have more self-confidence, which makes it easier at the next level to begin to let go again. And our letting go, pardon me?
It works at that point.
Yes. And it becomes easier and easier, and we're more equipped in our own security and our own love to let go of bigger and bigger and bigger things. Because when we realize the purpose of what those things what they are, it's, that's easy. I can let go of that for this reason. I can do that. I can change belief. And yes, so it's spirituality, awareness, awakening to the truth of who we are, our conscious awareness. It comes in layers. And anything that we talk about when you're looking at people who have experienced trauma on any level, whether it seems little or large, it's like an onion. Everybody talks about it's an onion. It comes in layers. When we now have the tools to address this is when we're prepared to do it.
Yeah.
And so he has done some amazing ceremony things. Share a little bit of your ceremony stuff. I'm especially, I choose the burial stuff. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, the earthing.
The earthing.
That was so amazing. I've done it a couple of times, and the first time, basically there's a trench, dig a hole. I mean, it's you're getting in the hole, and you're buried up to here, and in the background is good shamanic Native American music and drums going. So then, I mean, of course, creating the sacred space, and you have the intentions on what you want, and then everyone has an attendant to watch, make sure everything's off the face, and everyone is safe and doing well. But it's a full surrender. It's a full surrender type thing to get in the hole and then be covered up. And we have eye covers on, and then it's just going into a trance. And then everyone's experience is different. I mean, it's like any other journey or ceremony. Your experience is different. And with mine, my first time, it was I saw at that time my two primary Native American guides, White Cloud and White Buffalo, and then along was another guide, and actually it was a prior life of mine from 500 years ago. It was a medicine man for the Ash Indian tribe in East Texas, and they were all there, and they were standing over me and attending to me, and And again, at that point, my voice hasn't quite opened up yet. And my medicine man kept telling me, open the voice, let it go, open up that throat chakra. And but that was where I was having struggles. But then behind them came the whole Native American consciousness. I could see them. I could see my guides right there around me, kneeling down, their hands over me, tending to me. The whole Native American consciousness was around. I mean, it was just everywhere. Nothing else around me was even present. Everything was gone. It was just me and them. And then toward the end, I know I did some chanting, because then the voice opened up, and they tell me I chanted. I do not remember that. But then toward the end, my spirit animal, the eagle, came in, and just the wings spread. And while I'm in the hole, I could feel the tree roots. I could feel Mother Earth just wrapping around me, and I felt like a papoose wrapped up tight, with the mother, here I am in Mother Earth and all wrapped up. But then when the eagle came, I could feel the feathers just reaching around and holding me there. And oh my God, it was just so spiritual and just so emotional for that. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful just to have them there, to see them, to feel them, to experience them, from the guides to the consciousness to the eagle. It was wonderful. It's Harley. I very much recommend anyone that has the opportunity to do it, an earthing ceremony like that. I recommend it to you. You just a total, complete and total surrender to whatever happens, whatever the universe has, whatever Mother Earth brings in. Your spiritual consciousness, your guides, your spirit animals, because it's just a gorgeous and wonderful experience. Moving, very moving.
It's interesting because you hear about earthing all the time, but you hear about earthing as putting your feet on the ground and standing outside, connecting with Earth's energy, and just being able to ground, because we're aware of as children, we would always go barefooted. And I'm aware that as time has gone on, you see less of that, even in children.
Right.
And so we're aware of that. This is the first time I've heard of a burial as
because as the ground is put over you, then I mean, you can really, if you're going inside and connecting spiritually, that you feel the hands of Mother Earth just wrapping around her arms, and it just feel the nurture and feel the love coming there. I mean, you can feel the trees all around. I mean, there is like all the trees in the area where they're paying attention. They're almost, paying respect to the fact that you're respecting them, and so you feel that connection with nature and with Mother Earth and the animals and everything. I mean, it's just
one of the things that I'm aware of is we will have these people will hear about experiences such as this, and that there was something there, that we saw something, that we had a connection, we experienced visions and hearings. And when we are playing in consciousness, and all of the energy on the planet of the universe began at the moment of the Big Bang, and there is no new energy being recreated, and energy never dies, it only transforms. And so we've had this belief in the past, this belief that when someone ascends or passes on, that they're gone. And they simply transform into another form of energy. And I'm aware of the experience of hearing people and hearing loved ones, and even loved ones of others. And when we will trust that this is true, and use the message as a way to love on ourselves to receive the connectivity. There we go. The connectivity of all of these different spectrums of light and love and quantum levels. It really is the truth. And we are able to call on that which we require moment to moment. Until I found my own definition of divine mother, I would call on my grandmother, and I would hear her immediately, and she would answer me in some form or fashion. And it's for us to trust that love is still in us, around us, and through us. And it shows up in all different kinds of ways.
And I love that you said that energy doesn't die, it just transforms. And I love that is energy doesn't die, it just transforms. And I love the power of that phrase, because in the world, so many people are letting go of that negative energy or stepping away from that negative energy. Or in this, we're talking about transcension, when people transcend and being able to remember that their energy's always with us, within us, that there's so much in that it can be transformed. So why are we trying to get rid of energy? It's like taking a whole, and I remember one of my teachers used to say to me, well, you can do that, Carrie, but it'll be like removing your leg. Do you require walking on one leg? And I was like, well, what is she talking about? And I'm aware that because we keep removing things. We go to the hospital, we have stuff removed. We keep removing things. And do we require removing anything, getting away from, not being, or do we simply transform the energy that we have? And my answer is, let's transform whatever that looks like. And and what I heard with Randy in the burial was a remembering all of the things that he had come around him, was a remembering of where he once began, and in his DNA, and in the feeling and the symbols and the things that came around it. We may give it different energy and we may say different things about it, and yet it's a massive remembering in his DNA, because if he didn't have that in him, he wouldn't have remembered that. He wouldn't have had that experience. He can't make that stuff happen. People believe they can make it happen. No, there's a remembering that's coming through him of Mother Nature and being surrounded by Mother Nature and that massive support. And he was transforming what his family on earth had believed and returning to the remembering of what his ancient ancestors gave him. That's what I.
Yes.
Right. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yes. That was Carrie Church. I like it.
And you're right. Energy is transformed, and even we may get something that no longer serves us in our greatest and highest good, and so then, but not just to remove that, but to take it and transform it. And when in our practice, when I'm working with someone, they may have some energy that is not good for them or no longer serves them. So we take it and we transmit it to the light for instant purification and into love. And it's returned to put back into the individual as pure love and light. So it's just transforming that energy that that was no longer serving them into something that does and help.
We have spoken into transmuting energy as well, and I've had experiences where transmuting the energy into the earth, where it goes to the molten core to be completely transformed and returned. And yes, we can. And one of the things that so illness and all of these other things are simply stuck energy in our bodies. The issues are in the tissues, and our body is speaking to us in the only way it knows how, which is itching, scratching, aches, pains, broken bone, and all kinds of things. That's how our body knows how to speak to us, to tell us, to make us aware of what is actually happening. And what Louise Hay and more scientists are speaking into dis-ease. And so we've had this stuck energy in our body. And when we will give ourselves permission to let go and discover what the root of that is, we can transmute that into something completely different.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I believe, I choose to remember if the first time we spoke when you shared with me your grounding, your earthing experience, that I had seen fantastic fungi. And what I got from that was this interconnected entire under earth universe, which was so exciting to me, because we have the underground, we have us on the planet, and then we have the universe itself. So there's all of these different planes of consciousness, of connectivity, and because the plants are talking to each other, they're supporting each other, they're connecting with their root systems, they're sending things into the earth to those that are having issues with their tissues.
Yes.
It is fantastic fungi.
It is a documentary that I found. My dad actually shared it with me on Netflix, and it is amazing.
Awesome. Well, now I have something to watch.
In the forest, and basically several miles out into the forest, and that whole day, I was looking for a particular tree, and to find and spend the day with, and in my mind I'm thinking it's got to be some magnificent, wonderful tree that's going to give me all this information, and the words that kept coming to me is just don't look for the obvious, and over and over again. So then it was, oh, well, maybe it's an older sick tree, maybe it's young saplings or new growth that I'm going to connect with. And so as I'm walking through, and again, I'm about 3 miles out into the forest, and then I just feel I have to go off to the right. So I go and I'm crawling through the brush and making my way in. And what do I come into a tiny little clearing is this old sick tree that's leaning, and it's literally on its last root. I mean, it's about to fall over, and all around it were probably 70, 80 small saplings, new growth. And I realized that, and they even had a place for me to sit on the ground and lean up against. I mean, it was like the perfect little chair on the ground. And I realized that every one of those saplings were the students. The older sick tree was the teacher, the mentor. And every one of those saplings were actually leaning in, like they were listening to the older tree. The tree's teaching these young trees how to survive in this canopy of bigger trees where the light is hidden and shaded, and there's lack of water, and how do you survive in this environment? And although this tree was on its didn't have much more to go to live, it's still teaching, it's still mentoring, and it's way out in the middle of the forest. No one's probably ever seen it, so it's not there for accolades or rewards or congratulations or any of that. It's doing what it's doing because it's the right thing to do, and this is how you help everyone else, the new growth coming up, to survive and to live. And I sat out there from early morning to dark, and to watch this, to really to hear the tree talking, and then the animals coming in, and they're all interacting, and I had a squirrel that started blaring out the warning signal. You know, they see some human danger, and by that time I leaned over to the tree and I said, okay, now I'm okay. And you tell the squirrel that I'm okay, and just like that, the squirrel stops, and then comes down to the ground with other squirrels, and they start playing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, there's great communication there between the plant world, the animal world, Mother Nature, all of it, even the ants and stuff going around. There was communication there, and watching how all of that worked together. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Awesome. And so, Randy, I know that you, when we were speaking backstage, you do drum circles, and you said that you do is sound.
I've started with the crystal bowls. Sound. I'll do sound baths. Usually once a month. I'll facilitate the sound bath, and occasionally some guided meditation things. And then twice a month, kind of focused around close to the new moon or full moon, we'll do a drumming circle. Sorry.
The drum is excited. It's like coming through the phone.
Yes.
Let's go ahead. And so what is the name of the place where you remind me again? So I'm going to go ahead and share where people can find you.
It's Zen, Z-E-N, Zen Holistic Stores. They're on Sawdust in the Woodlands.
Zen Holistic
Stores. We'll do the drumming circles. They've kind of morphed into, initially we were looking for people to bring their drums and everybody have a good drumming session, and it's really morphed into more of a drumming meditation / healing session, because there's a lot of releasing nice journeys and healing that goes on there. So it's really beautiful to see people being able to release, to see things, to feel things, and to get acclimated to the spiritual world, because a good number of them, that's their first experience with it, and they see how powerful it is. My next drumming circle's on the 20th, actually this coming Tuesday.
Okay. So Tuesday evening?
Tuesday evening, 6:00.
Okay.
There at Zen.
The Zen Holistic Store. Okay, so that's where people can find you if they desire to experience in person. If you're in the Woodlands, which I choose to share that I'm in Liberty Hill, Andrea's in Houston, and Randy is in the Woodlands. So in Texas. And so if that's something that you're desiring, this is where you'll find it in the Zen Holistic Stores. You can Google it and find that in the Woodlands. And so, Randy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for asking me.
You are so welcome. It was a pleasure to be with you and hear what you're doing in the world and just your massive awareness. And I so enjoyed it. And Andrea and I are actually, one of the things that Andrea shared was speaking about a class that we do. And so the next class we have coming up is our money class. This is our big class in January. And what we do is recode your money. So we're talking about how we create decrees and we shift our beliefs and we reprogram our subconscious mind. And what we're discovering is how our families, like we're just talking about returning all the way back to how things were intended. And what we're aware of is along the pathway for decades, our family has beliefs around money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means there's no change. And so when we keep repeating that, we are yet to embrace change. And so we are playing with, in this class in January, you can find it on the link below. We are going to recode money. And so finding how your family has wired it and where the pattern is, because we're aware that money and love are actually the same thing. So if you're desiring to improve your relationships as well as your worth and your value and your income, this is the class for you. It's very powerful. Tuesday nights, it is from 6:30 to 8 starting in January. It's beginning January 7th, Andrea.
We moved it to the 17th, and it is a 5-week. It's a 5-week class.
Yes. And in our classes, we do play sheets. We do them all on Zoom, and we do play sheets because worksheets are, well, they're work.
Less than fun.
So, so less than fun. So we choose fun. So we do play sheets. It's very interactive in the group. And because we find there's power in a group, just when there's two or more gathered, we have massive, powerful things happen. So that's why we created this class. So this is coming up for us in January. Thanks so much for being here today. You can find us every Wednesday at 8:30 on YouTube at Embody Coaches, or you can find us on Facebook at Embody Coaches. And if you choose to follow us on Instagram, we're there as well. But this is our podcast every Wednesday at 8:30. Your word is your wand, remembering the magic of your words and what we can create. And Monday and Friday, we are in Clubhouse. If you're unfamiliar with the app, it's actually fabulous. And you can find this information all on our website. So thanks so much, Randy, once again for joining us. And everybody have a great day.
Thank you, Randy. I'll see you soon at the Holistic Chamber.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.